Hi there and welcome. I'm really excited that you're here today because what this technology, this health technology that I have to share with you is like nothing I've seen in my 39 years of holistic health background. And it's pretty exciting that I'm going to share some of the science, some of the technology, but also some testimonials so you can understand what it can do for you and your family. If you're here for your child, yourself, or both of you, this can benefit everybody. So what I want to do is share with you everything it can do, and also how you can get it for yourself. And I also want to say right from the beginning that, I always say that this isn't meant to treat or diagnose or cure anything. What it's doing is allowing the body's natural healing abilities to accelerate. It is helping our body be as strong as it possibly can. I had a 20-year-old shoulder injury that is now completely gone from wearing this patch. And these are the kinds of things I've seen. My mom's blood pressure is reduced. Everybody, people who have had mental clarity issues are now thinking clearly, remembering their grandchildren's names who couldn't before. So this is what's so pretty exciting. David Schmidt is the owner and founder of the company. He's the inventor. And in the early 2000s, he was asked by the U.S. Naval Department to develop something that was able to help the Navy SEALs stay, alert, have stamina and endurance for these 24, 48-hour missions that they were going on, because they were all getting addicted to amphetamines. And so they said, no drugs, no stimulants, non-invasive. And David created the very first patch that actually Michael Phelps ended up wearing in the Olympics, and the Navy SEALs are still using today, and we can still use that today. But what I'm going to talk about now is the X39 patch. It's this little round patch about the size of a quarter. And basically about 2008, David knew that stem cells were becoming the big buzz in health and regenerative health. And people were flying to Mexico and Panama and spending up to $30,000 on injections that were not only expensive, but the body could reject them. They had a low efficacy rate, and you had to keep going back. So they weren't accessible to everybody. And so he wanted to create something that was non-invasive, and he wondered how we could actually activate our own stem cells and regenerate them. So he went to work, and it took him 10 years with an entire team of stem cell specialist researchers, and they developed the X39 patch, which is what I'm going to talk about today. And they have now, just last year in 2025, won the Biotech Award of the Year for this. This is out of thousands of nominations from over 15 different countries, and that is for something that serves the world in a global recognition that encourages bold ideas and solutions that will change the future of biotechnology. This is how incredible this is. So let's talk about what stem cells are. So let's back up. We are born with billions of them, but they decline with age, and inflammation damages them, so we lose them faster. They are our master cells of the body that heal. They're the building blocks. They repair and they renew. They are found throughout the body, in every cell, everything. We were developed from them. Our heart, our lungs, our brain, everything was developed from stem cells. And they replenish dying cells in the body and regenerate damaged tissues. We need them in our body to repair. But what happens? So again, they can become any kind of cell they need to in the body, knowing what they need to innately. Whether you need a heart repair, brain repair, injury repair, they are for everyone. So what happens is that by the time we're age 30, we have lost over 50% of what we were born with. By the time we're age 60, we've lost over 90% of what we were born with. And people and children who have a lot of inflammation, the inflammation will damage stem cells so that they can be lost and not able to work the way they need to. So this is going to help repair and renew. How do they work? So this little patch, if you can see it here on my arm, you just stick it on like a Band-Aid. That's all you do. It is completely non-invasive, doesn't put anything into the body. So it's no supplements, nothing else. What it does is it uses our body's light and heat through a proprietary form of phototherapy. And people say, well, where's the phototherapy come from? It comes from our body. We as human beings emit light and heat 24/7, every second of the day. we're emitting light and far infrared heat. And that is what activates the patented pattern in the patch that will mirror it back in the body in a very specific way that activates dormant stem cells in our body. That means those stem cells that have been damaged by inflammation, that have gone dormant with age, are now being regenerated and renewed and going back to work. And they will literally triage in the body, going to the most important thing first. We say that they put out the biggest fire first. So maybe it didn't, help the nagging shoulder right away, because maybe there's something going on with my heart or my brain that needed work first, and that was more important. It was the first week or so, I noticed differences in mental clarity and sleep. But it was about 3 months in where I started to notice that 20-year-old shoulder injury was, starting to feel better. And now I've been on the patches a year, and there's no residual discomfort in my shoulder. It's gone, that old injury. So the longer you wear them, the more results you'll notice. Again, no drugs, no stimulants, no chemicals, non-transdermal, and completely non-invasive. 100% safe. And so this is also important to know that if you're already on supplements or medications, it will not interfere. Benefits of X39: increased strength, reducing inflammation, which we know is huge, increased stamina, energy and vitality, mental clarity, great for the brain, restored muscle and skeletal conditions, improving sleep, improving skin appearance, all of the above. The long-term results, we know from science that in the first 24 hours, it shows us that it starts to repair and renew over 4,000 genes in the body. The brain becomes balanced over time. Collagen is increased, and the heart reverses in age. How do you wear them? 12 hours on, 12 hours off. It's like putting on a Band-Aid. You just stick it on your skin. You can literally go anywhere. There are some suggested spots, but even the patent says it can go anywhere on the body. And you put it on in the morning when you get up, and then 12 hours later at night, you take it off and you dispose of it in the trash. And the next day you put a new one on. And that is it. If you're listening and you have a child with autism and they have sensory issues, you can put it on their back. You can even put it on the back of their shirt. And if you put it on the outside of the clothing, it can even penetrate through their clothing, because our body's heat and light comes through our clothing and will penetrate. That's why I would tell people, store these in a dark, cool place like a closet, and don't play with them or hold them, because you want to make sure that you're not activating with your hand. You just pull out the one you need, and that's it. And they come in a sleeve like this with 30 of them in it. And 30 of them, of course, is a month's supply. You use one a day, 12 hours on, 12 hours off, dispose of it when you're done with it. The patent shows that it embodies results elevating a copper peptide, including activation of stem cells, improvement in energy, elevation of antioxidants. It helps build up to 30% more glutathione in the body naturally, our own, not by another supplement or chemical coming in, but our body's ability to build that. That's our master antioxidant. And that's just one of the many things. It helps with mitochondria and lots of other things. And if you're a sciencey kind of person and you want to see some science and research and data and some more testimonies, then go to thisisitinfo.com and you can look at some of the science and information on the patent. It is there for you. This company has been around since, I said, the early 2000s, but the X39 patch that we're talking about today was not released until 2020. And at that time, the company was doing well. They were a $20 million company. But since when they released it, the next 5 years, by the end of 2024, LifeWave ended their revenue at over $600 million. That is a 3,000% growth rate. And if you know anything about numbers and business growth, that is almost unheard of. It is because this patch works so well. And they're on schedule to become $1 billion company, and the growth is tremendous. And so that's what I wanted everybody to know. But what's important is testimonies. What can it do for us? This is a topography map of a woman who was 77 years old, and they took a scan of her brain when she first came in, and she was having signs of cognitive, incoherence. She was, getting signs of dementia, and basically, the first scan shows that she had inflammation on her brain, and you can see where the red is. 3 weeks later, she came in, she had a little bit better coherence, and you can see that the inflammation is mostly gone. And by week 6, she came in and she had no inflammation left on her brain, and she was getting her coherence back to a strong degree, and over time it's fully back. So this is what the kinds of things it can show us at a scientific level. And what's important is she was getting her life back. She was able to remember things and be herself again. These are testimonies that I share with a couple of parents that are in my autism membership program that have gotten on the patches, and some testimonies that they shared about what happened for their children when they got them on the patch, their children with autism. And so 1 week on the patch, so the mom got herself on the patch, which I hope you're thinking of yourself. And she got herself on the patch for more energy. And she said, wow, in the first week, I did start to notice more energy. She thought what was really interesting is she had her son on the X39 patch. Again, the one we've been talking about that activates those stem cells. There's another patch, and I'll mention it very briefly, and it's called the Eon. And she says the Eon patch yesterday, she put it on her son yesterday, and she said, my son's sensory seeking dropped to the floor. It definitely decreased by 40% that day. Now, what happens is that the X39 patch comes in and activates those stem cells. But stem cells have to fight through a wall of inflammation before they can get to all the important vital organs and other work they have to do. The Eon patch targets inflammation first, and that is key. So that way, not only does it target inflammation first to reduce it, but it also targets brain balancing. Very good for sleep, calming, reducing cortisol levels, very calming in that way. But because it targets the inflammation, now paired with using the X39 together, then the X39 stem cell activation patch, when those stem cells get activated, they can get to the work they need to faster because the Eon's working on the inflammation. This other mom, she shared that her son, after being on the patch, she said 1 week, he's so much happier. He has an increased appetite and he's in such a good mood. Well, she had a cousin who also had a son with autism, and she said, I wanted to share it with him. So I helped her do that, and we got her cousin's son on the patches, and she said in 4 days on the patch, she said her son became in a much better mood, and she's so much calmer already just in days. Now, everybody's progression and how fast you notice things is different for everybody. Some notice differences very quickly and some slower. And I'll talk about how long to use them in a moment. This is a quick slide I wanted to show of a boy who was in high school or college. He had a broken shoulder in a football game, and they patched him up, and this is the before and after x-rays. The doctor said after 1 week on the patch, it looked like about 6 weeks of recovery for a normal shoulder break like that. He had never seen results that fast. In the upper right, you can see this man had A1C levels of blood sugar that were going so high, he was headed for medications. And after being on the patch for a couple of months, he no longer needed to have, his A1C levels were dropping and his blood pressure and things were balancing out for him. The girl in the lower right had skin issues and skin irritation, and you can see that after being on the patch, it cleared up. Professional athletes worldwide are using this. I mentioned Michael Phelps wore them in the Olympics. That's him in the bottom right-hand corner with them on. David Beckham there in the upper left-hand corner. Serena Williams, many professional athletes wear them because they are for healthy people. They're for injured people. They're for people who want to have good longevity. They're for people who are sick and want to get better and are looking for natural, healthy solutions. 97% of people notice changes in the first 90 days of wearing the patch. Remember, 1 patch a day. So you want to stay consistent. I know that they say it's a commitment of a month per decade of life. So I've been on them over a year now because I know that I feel so good on them. I want to keep my stem cells activated, but I want you to commit to at least 90 days and really best 3 to 6 months to really see what they can do for you. So if you're wondering how to get started, there are 3 ways to get started. One is you could be a retail customer, but nobody should have to pay retail because, again, I just said that you're going to be committing to at least 90 days, so at least 3 months, better 6 months if possible, and keep going if you want after that, like I am, but up to you. But at least in those 3 to 6 months, you're going to be able to really see what they can do for you. And so why would you want to spend the retail price when you can get it for $50 less, save that money per month? So as a preferred customer, with it coming monthly so that you don't run out, you can get it for $99.95 a month. That's for 30 full days of it. We're not spending $30,000 on stem cell injections like people are. This is 30 days worth for less than $100. That's less than a cup of coffee costs a day. And then some people want to become a brand partner. They want to share this, like the woman I shared it with, and she shared it with her cousin. You might be thinking of your mom, like I was for my mom. You may be thinking of other people that you know, and maybe as a parent of a child with autism or anybody else who you want to create a way to create an additional source of an income. Maybe help with paying for the groceries monthly, or for gas, or paying for the mortgage, or for your child's supplements, or whatever kind of income stream you choose to build. That is an option and available here, because LifeWave, again, I showed you, has 3,000% growth rate in the last 5 years. And this is all from word of mouth. It is all direct marketing. David Schmidt knew that this could never get across to people on a store shelf what it was capable of doing, because the results are that astounding. So we share person to person, and we can impact other people's lives. I knew I wanted to share. I came in at the advanced level with 6 sleeves because I have 2 kids I wanted on it, plus myself and my husband and my mom. So I wanted to get the pack, and I knew I was going to be sharing this with other people. So this is an option. You have different packages that you can come in, and they give you a little greater savings if you believe that you want to become a brand partner and start sharing this. If not, you can become a preferred customer and get yours monthly that way as well, whichever you choose to do. So if you're thinking of people right now, you probably are, you can make an impact in others' lives. There's an opportunity here. And if you choose to do that, you have a couple of options too. So if you're ready to try them and you want to know how to get them, then go to thrivingwithpatches.com. On that page, I have linked to where you can just click on a preferred customer with an already set up cart for an X39 or an X39 and an Eon, whatever you choose. You can click on it, direct link, get it yourself on your own, you're set. If you decide you want to maybe look at brand partner options and talk about how to share this, there's a link on that page to where you can schedule a call with me, and I'll answer your questions and help you get started doing that, because it's so easy and so rewarding to share. So the options are all there for you. So again, all of this is at thrivingwithpatches.com. Thank you so much for being here, for what you're doing for your family and helping to impact other people's lives, and appreciating your time for being here as well. Thanks again.